Samsaradava nalalita loka Taranaya karuna khana khana tvam Tava nalalita loka Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasora Sena Romanchakam Pashutaranga Bhajo Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Shivikrahara Dhananitya Nana Shingaratam Mandira Marjanado Yuttasya Bhaktam Staniyunjatopi Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Chaturvidhasi Bhagavat Prasada Swadharna Tripta Hari Bhakta Sangha Kriteva Triptim Padatasadaiva Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Shiradhika Mahadavayorapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupa Namnam Pratishanasa Tanalolupasa Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Pratishanasa Tanalolupasa Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Nikunja Yuno Ratikeli Siddhai Yayari Pir Yuktira Pesaniya Nikunja Yuno Tatrati Dakshad Ativallabhasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Sashathari Tena Samasta Shastre Uttasthatha Bhaviteva Sattvihi Saritena Samasta Shastre Uttasthatha Bhaviteva Sattvihi Kintu Prabhoya Priyaeva Tasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Kintu Prabhoya Priyaeva Tasya Vande Guroshi Charanarabindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasya prasadam nakati kutopi.
Yasya prasadam bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasadam nagati kutopi.
Dhyayanstu vamstasya yashaste sandhyam. Vande guroshi charanaravindam.
Dhyayantu vamstasya yasasvi sandhyam. Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam.
Vande guroshi charanaravindam. Vande guroshi charanaravindam.
Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Yeah. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Vachatya Deshatarine.
Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madha Radha Nila Madha Si Radhe Jaya Radha Nila Madha Radha Nila Madha Si Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Sitaram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Sitaram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Lakshmi Nara Singha Jaya Lakshmi Nara Singha Jaya Lakshmi Nara Singha Jaya Lakshmi Nara Singha Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Nittai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bolo Hari Bo Nittai Gaura Hari Bolo Jai Om Shnu Padar Pamhamsa Prajaka Acharya Ashtota Shata Shishimatis Divine Grace Aparachana Rinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON PPT Bhaktivedanta Institute Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pada Pramhamsa Prajaka Acharya Ashtota Shata Shishimatis Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridasa Thakur Ki Jai Premisik Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvipa Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Purushottama Chaita Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samavrita Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya Prahladaladadaine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato yato yami tato Narsimha हे नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अभूतसिंगां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुवृन्दां केशवधिरत नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधिरता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय नरसिंह
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुपाक्यपदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सतताय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुपाक्यपदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सतताय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुपाक्यपदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सतताय नमो नमः
वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ये अभिलाषी जे तुम्हार शरण लो तारा वांछा पूर्ण हो जे तुम्हार कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोरा ये अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो नयने हेरिबो सदा युगल रूपरासी ये निवेदन धरो सखीरनुगत करो सेवाधिकार दिए कुरु निज दासी दीन कृष्ण दासी को ये न मोर होय श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न भासी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीमती वृंदादेवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। वृंदाये तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। वृंदाये तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। वृंदाये तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। वृंदादेवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Bestow mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavana. My desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Davana town. Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow or careful dance of the Virgin. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna I praise. May I always swim in their love, Shri Radha and Govinda, Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 fences in the matter to chant holy names have been avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who are dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods, Lord Shiva or Brahma, to be equal to independent and name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Vedas fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To adopt complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to inattentive while chanting. Every devotee claims to Vaishnava is carefully guarding these 10 offenses. In order to quickly achieve desired success, Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisance unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shriya Kailava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra pita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadeshi davarkripa bhagavam mamapi durudevami desham ihajanina nuragaha trinatapi sunijena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manatena kirtanya sadaharihi na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye Mama Jamani Jamanishvare Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tavai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Pavam Putha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthitaturi Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashru Daraya Vatanam Gadgada Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Vapurkada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashrisava padaratam pinnashtumam adarshanam marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidathatu lampato matprananatha susa eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction of humanity in the large because it spreads a rays and benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendent knowledge. It increases the ocean transcendent bliss and enable us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction of human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendent names they invested all your transcendent energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking of Lord and the straw in the street. One should be more taller than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh my Lord, while my eyes spectacular tears of love flowing. So Almighty Lord, have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Oh, Sanhamarani Nanda Krishna, I'm an eternal servitor, yet somehow that I follow the ocean birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death, and please may I want to add them to the lotus feet. Oh my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constant when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, or the hair of my body stand and the recitation of your name. Oh Govinda, feeling of separation and consider the moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Charanam prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Omritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachatyatesha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karana Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dina Darine Rupa Nuga Viruddha Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Saksha Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirtishta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpa Turubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurateshe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sratoro Pangor Mamamanda Mater Gati Masarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindadana Kalpadurmadaha Shimadra Nagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaripi Sevimano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Vata Tatastitaha Karsham Venustaner Gopir Gopinatha Shri Yestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Datara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Mangala Charanam prayers ki jai. Shri Paramasamhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satmasukha Pariksha Lakshariteshu Surabi Rabi Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Pramasevyamanam Govindam Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Venum Kanantam Aravinda Dalaya Daksham Parhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kantarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobam Govindam Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Alola Chantakala Savanamada Vamshi Ranantakatam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tripanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindam Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Banti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimma Satu Chula Vigrahasya Govindam Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Advaitam Achotam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durabam Adurabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Pantastu koti shatavassara samprakamyo vayurathapi manaso munipangavanam Sophiasti yapapada simya vichinta tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham pajami Ekopya sara chaitum jagadanta kotim Ya chakrasti jagadanta chaya yadanta Antantarastha paramanu chayantarastham Govindamadi purusham tamaham pajami Yad bhava bhavitadiyo manujastateva samprapya rupa mahima sanayana pusha Suktaryam eva nikama patitai stuvanti Govindamadi purusham tamaham pajami Ananda chimma rasa patibhavitapi stapi evan jarupataya kalapi Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma buddho Govindamadi purusham tamaham pajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanyamena Tishtan Nanavatara Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samapava Parama Pumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He is an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and is the prime cause of all causes.
The first progenitor, who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyam Sundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universe, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primal Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, convenience, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, residing in his own realm, Golok, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiments of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidant Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the Primeval Lord, who is Syam Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions. Sri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 purport. शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्ता हि स्तो हि अभद्राणि विदनोति सुहृत्सतं नष्टप्रयेष्व अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी तदा राजास्तमो भावा कामालोभादयाश्च ये चेत एतैरनाविदं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसमस्यः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनीश्वरे. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material loss and avarice are diminished.
When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Samsayam Samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the signs of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 11.54 Bhaktyatva ananyaya sakya aham evam vidorjuna jnatum drustum cha tatvena pravestum cha parantapa. Bhaktya, by devotional service too, but ananyaya, without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. Sakhya, possible. 11.54 Evam vidha, like this. Arjuna, O Arjuna, jnatum, to know. Drashtum, to see. Cha, and tatvena, in fact. Pravestum, to enter into. Cha, also. Parantapa, O subduer of the enemy. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentator who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a 400 form and at once changed himself to a 200 form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi. Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon and 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So, if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic scriptures, Svetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tata guru tasya iti katita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal forms of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed form, are described as Sudarshasam, Sudurdarsham, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and the two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The words Tvad Anyena Na Drishta Puram, text 47, state that before Arjuna no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous words, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms. What to speak of the impersonal conception? As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean, and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.48, Yeshaika Nishva Sita Kalam Atma Valambhya जीवंति लोमा विलजा जगद अंतनातः विष्णुर्महांसा इह यस्य काला विशेषो गोविंदमादि पुरुषं तमहं भजामि. The Mahavishnu, into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing process, is the plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation, and is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literatures, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.1, the following statement appears: Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya क्लिष्टकारिणि नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय Gurave Buddhi Sakshini. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who is a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishno vai paramam daivatam. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.3. Eko vasi sarvagaha Krishna idya. That one Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and he is worshipable. Ekopi san buddhaya bahudaya vibhati. Krishna is one, but he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnation. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.2.1. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 says, Ishvara Parma Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. Elsewhere it is said, Yatra Vitranam Krishna Kyam Param Brahma Naraktri. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that this Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but as the original Supreme Personality of God Himself. Iti chamsa kala pumsa krishnastu bhagavan swayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Matta parataram nanyat. There is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead Krishna. He also says elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Aham adirhi devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form, with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands, is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It's not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing, rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities. But to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear.
मत कर्मा कृन मत परमो मत भक्तः संगवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यसा मे मम इति पांडव. Mat karma krit. Engaged in doing my work. Mat paramaha. Considering me in the Supreme. Mat bhakta. Engaged in my devotional service. Sangha varjitaha. Freed from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. Nirvaira, without an enemy. Sarva bhuteshu, among all living entities. Ya, one who is sa, he. Mam, unto me. Iti, comes. Pandava, O son of Pandu. Translation. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Put by Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality Krishna must take this formula. As stated by the Supreme Himself, therefore this verse is as stated by the Supreme Himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature, and who do not know of the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the supreme spiritual personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity, devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. As stated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255, Anashaktasya Vishyan Yatar Arham Upayajataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchite. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna Karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. The result should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna. And he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service, as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is called Krishna Karma. This is all Krishna Karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna. and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of offerings to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and installs the deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there. But it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. If, however, one is not able to construct a temple for Krishna, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. Anyone who has land in India, at least any poor man has a certain amount of land can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. One can sow tulsi plants, but because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in the Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf or a flower or a fruit or a little water, and by such an offering he is satisfied. This leaf especially refers to the tulsi. So one can sow tulsi and pour water on the plant. Thus, even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. These are some of the examples of how one can engage in working for Krishna. The word matparamaha refers to one who considers the association of Krishna in his supreme abode to be the highest perfection, such as the moon or sun or heavenly planets.
Highest perfection of life. You skip so much. Such a person. You skip the line, Abhi.
Of life. Such a person does not wish to be elevated to the higher planets, such as the moon or sun or the heavenly planets, or even the highest of this universe, Brahmaloka. Highest planet of this universe, Brahmaloka. Stop it, please. He has no attraction for that. He is only attracted to being transferred to the spiritual sky. And even in the spiritual sky, he is not satisfied with merging into the glowing Brahma Jyoti effulgence. For he wants to enter the highest spiritual planet, namely Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavana. He has full knowledge of that planet, and therefore he is not interested in any other. As indicated by the word Mad Bhakta, he fully engages in devotional service, specifically in the 9 processes of devotional engagement: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering prayers, carrying out the orders of the Lord, making friends with him, and surrendering everything to him. One can engage in all 9 devotional processes, or 8 or 7, or at least in one, and that will surely make one perfect. The term Sangha Varjitaha is very significant. One should disassociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but but so also are those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. Therefore, the pure form of devotional service is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 as follows. Anyanya balashita sanyam Jnana karmadi anarvatam Anukalena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami clearly states that if anyone wants to execute unalloyed devotional service, he must be freed from all kinds of material contamination. He must be freed from the association of persons who are addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. One freed from such unwanted association from the contamination of material desire, one favorably cultivates knowledge of Krishna, that is called pure devotional service. Anukulasya sankalpa Pratikulasya varjanam Hari Bhakti Vilasha 11.676. One should think of Krishna and act for Krishna favorably, not unfavorably. Kamsa was an enemy of Krishna's. From the very beginning of Krishna's birth, Kamsa planned in so many ways to kill him, and because he was always so unsuccessful, he was always thinking of Krishna. Thus, while working, while eating and sleeping, he was always Krishna conscious in every respect. But that Krishna conscious was not favorable, and therefore, in spite of his always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day, he was considered a demon. And Krishna at last killed him. Of course, anyone who is killed by Krishna attains salvation immediately, but that is not the aim of the pure devotee. The pure devotee does not want salvation. He does not want to be transferred even to the highest planets, Goloka Vrindavana. His only objective is to serve Krishna wherever he may be. A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore, it is said here that he has no enemy. Nirvaira. How is this? A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce this system, Krishna consciousness into human society. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risked their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India, also there are many examples, such as Thakur Haridasa and Prahalad Maharaj. Why such risk? because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness. And it is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord. Now we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those who engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach the supreme planet after leaving the body. In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation in the form of time which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Vishvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. Therefore, there are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus. But for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Syamasundara. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Syamasundara form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus, in the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the matter of the universal form. Should we start, Daddy?
Chapter 12. What time is it?
It's not yet.
Chapter 12, Text 1. Arjuna Vacha Evam Satatayuktaye Bhaktastvam Parupasate Ye Chapi Aksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna said, Evam, thus, follow. Satata, always, Yukta, engaged, Ye, those who, Bhakta, devotees, Tvam, you, Parupasate, properly worship, Ye, those who, Cha, also, Api, again, Aksharam, beyond the senses, Avyaktam, the unmanifested, Tesham, of them, Ke, who, Yoga Vittama, the most perfect in knowledge of yoga. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship in the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Purport. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalist can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist and the other is personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself not directly in the service of Krishna but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotion service is the highest. If one at all desires to have association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicates in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga, or devotional service to Him is the highest of all. It is the most direct and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not the material body. He is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is a spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the supreme whole and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again, in the eighth chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the sixth chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So, in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahmajyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the Absolute Truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. And so, factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best, because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conceptions of the Absolute Truth. Text 2, chapter 12.
Shri Bhagavana Vacha Maya Evaishya Mano Emam Nityam Yukta Apasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Teme Yukta Tamamataha. Shri Bhagavana Vacha Shri Bhagavana Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mai, upon me, Evaishya, Avesha, fixing, Mana, the mind, Ye, those, Mam, we, Nitya, always, Yukta, engaged, Upasate, worshipping, Shraddhaya, with faith, Paraya, transcendental, Upatahe, endued, Te, me, by me, Yukta Tamaha, by most perfect in yoga, Mata are considered. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one, in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities. Because everything is done for Krishna, a pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or something he washes, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi.
Text 3 to 4, chapter 12. Yetvaksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam parupasate sarvatragamacintyam cha kutastam achaladhrubam sanyamendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataah. Hey, those who too, but aksharam, that which is beyond the perception of the senses, anirdeshyam, indefinite, avyaktam, unmanifested, parupasate, completely engaged in worshipping, sarvatragam, all pervading, achintyam, inconceivable, cha, also, kutastham, unchanging, achalam, immovable, dhruvam, fixed, sanyamya, controlling, indriya gramam, all the senses, sarvatra, everywhere, samabuddhaya, equally disposed, the, they, prapnuvanti, achieve, mam, me, eva, certainly, sarva bhutahite, for the welfare of all living entities, rata, engaged. Translation. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth. By controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Purport. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise, there is no perfect realization. Often, there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders unto him. In order to perceive the super soul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult. Okay, welcome here. Get up from Anna. You want to lose the point?
Just go, Daddy, read it. We're wasting time.
Text 5.
क्लेशोदर दीकतर्षतां avyaktar avyakta chetasam avyakta gatir dukkam dehavabhir avapyate avapyate. Let him sit here. Klesha, trouble. Adhikatara, very much. Tesham, of them. Avyakta, to the unmanifested. Asakta, attached. Chetasam, of those whose minds. Avyakta, toward the unmanifested. He, certainly. Gati, he. Progress. Dukkam, with trouble. Deva vadbihi, by the embodied. Avapyate, is achieved. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested. Translation. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested and personal future of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Put by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The group of the transcendentalists who follow the path of the inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal future of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and persons who are in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service to the Lord, are called Bhakti Yogis. Now, here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for the embodied natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time is immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is his form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence but in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship. For the Lord is represented by material qualities, but the form of the Lord though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example, but may be given here. We may find some needle boxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go in their destination without difficulty. But any old box or imitation, which we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by the post office, will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigra. The Archa Vigra is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the services of the devotee just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So for the devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly. But for those who are following the impersonal way to spiritual realization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of the Supreme through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads. And they have to learn the language, understand the non-particular perceptual feelings, and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for a common man. A person in Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service simply by the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, simply by offering regulated obeisances unto the deity, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, realizes the supreme personality of Godhead very easily.
There is no doubt that impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path with the risk of not realizing the absolute truth at the ultimate end. But the personalist, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in